and good afternoon, everyone. This is Financial Literacy 101. I'm your host. So today I thought it would be fun. I thought it would be educational. I thought it would be a good thing that I share my books that I read, especially the books that I'm reading right now in 2020. I just want to say that I hope everyone is doing well during this time and everybody's protecting themselves. Hopefully, people's situations are getting better. And I know that we're still waiting to see what the government is going to do as far as a second stimulus package. But with that said, with the time that you actually have, let's go over some of the books that I'm reading right now and some books that I really just think that will benefit you in so many different ways. So hopefully you got pen and paper down. I hope that you do. So first we're going to go over my library. Okay, it's not that big because I have more books on hand and I give away a lot of books as well. Believe it or not, I'll read a book and give it away. But then I'm going to tell you at the end of this, what are the books that really changed my life, that really set me on a course. Now, I can't remember all of them, but I try to pick out some ones that really stood with me throughout the course of time. So here's some books right here that are in my library that I've enjoyed. Note Me Athlete Cookbook. It's just a healthy way of living if you want to think about becoming vegan or reducing the amount of meat that you intake. I don't want to get into that whole scenario because believe me, I love ribs, but I hardly eat meat. That's just me, okay? I don't do dairy, but a good book like this will actually help you to come up with some recipes and some ideas if you want a healthier way of living and taking some meals. Now, I talked about Rise and Grind. I'm still in the process of reading that. That's a really good book by Damon John, the black guy on Shark Tank. 12 Years a Slave, that was a good book. When people say the movie was better, the movie had more detail, of course, but it was a good book. The Power of the Subconscious Mind. I like this because it's about the power you have also in your spirituality. The Power of Now, I had this on here. I believe I had the Hard book. I would say you have to kind of read the foreword here to make the journey to the now. We will need to leave our analytical mind and false created self, the ego behind. Okay. Then of course, The Subtle Art of Not Giving Up. That was a really, really good book as well. Unshakable was a phenomenal book about investing. I'll just read a little bit here. It says, its bestseller was Master the Game, but it says return with a step-by-step playbook, taking to a journey to transform your financial life. It was absolutely good. The Loophole of Real Estate. Now, some of these books are absolutely boring, I know, but they're very, very informative, okay? That I have up here. Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Now, I have the audio book. I listen to it at least once a year. Believe it or not, I listen to that book once a year, and I also read the 48 Laws of Power, the little, I had it on PDF file, but I had just a snippet or a summary of each chapter of the 48 Laws of Power. On Tyranny was a good book. Of course, the ABCs of Getting Out of Debt. That actually helped me as well. The Time Machine, that was just a fun book that I read a while ago, but nonetheless, okay? I don't want to bore you with this information, but you're asking, where can you get books absolutely free? Because during this time, you don't want to spend any money. And I understand that. I won't want to spend any money either. But with that being said, there are some books, there's some places, some websites that you can go to and get books totally free. The Library of Congress, believe it or not, they have tons and thousands of books that you can go ahead and read absolutely free. And that is the name of the website is called read.gov. Okay, that's the Library of Congress. You go on there, you click on a book, and you can just start reading it right then and there. That's a great site. Open Library is another good site. They have a lot of good books on there as well. I don't want to go through each and every book because, of course, they have thousands, and I'm trying to give you the information so you can get a lot of these books for free. Okay, Free eBooks, Project Gutenberg. Also another good website that you can go and get free books. Okay, so we got Open Library, we got read.com, which is the Library of Congress, and we have Smashwords, another site, eBooks and Text. This is a nonprofit organization that offers free access to ebooks and digital files. You also have 24 symbols, unlimited reading. They have a lot of free sources as well. What else? Deals, PookPub, and then what's this one right here? It says many books. Yeah. So that is a great site. Now, if you want to know, this website is up here. You can write that down. I don't know if you can see it. Let me blow it up for you guys. And of course, it only blew up the page and not the website. But you can go to rd.com, and then links are culture, read books for free online. So that will give you a website that you can actually go into and find all the free websites. Okay, all of these are free sites. All right, let's talk about 50 amazing black book authors from the past 5 years, and then we're going to go over at the end, like I told you, some of the books that actually changed the course of my life. Okay, they actually changed the course of my life, because we have to understand that there's some people. I had a mentor who was a pro football player, retired, who also changed my life. But when it comes to books, some of these books were the hallmark, was the turning point in my life. And I'll tell you, the first book that really changed my life, once we get through some books that I think that, probably will intrigue you and get you interested in reading again, or just you ran out of books to read. So, which is crazy, because there's probably millions, if not billions of books, okay? But nonetheless, Sing On Bird Song, that's a good book. I heard, I never read it. See, Ongoing is an inspirational book. So I'm letting you get a glance at it. That way you can write down the author's name and also the name of the book. I Can't Date Jesus. I heard about this book. I heard it was a pretty good book. If you can tell right here, it says Love, Sex, Family, Race. Another reason I put my faith in Beyonce. It's a really good book, because it's a notion out there that when we get into difficult relationships, that we can just date Jesus. And even though that may be true, a lot of people don't want to date Jesus, because you want an actual person that's here. Okay, I'll just leave it alone. I'm not going to get into the religious part of it. Michelle Obama's book is really, really good. Okay, really, really good, an inspiring book. It says that here Obama writes with a refreshing candor, as though her keen awareness of celebrity is matched only by her eagerness to share the exhausting veneer that helped enable her husband's political rise. Okay, and I'm pretty sure that's a book about supporting your significant other. The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. Okay, we know that a movie was done behind this, and it was an excellent movie, and I'm pretty sure it's an excellent book. See, Zadie Smith. I know a lot of you out there know about this particular author. Best-selling author of White Teeth and NW. Okay, Don't Call Us Dead by Dinah Smith. The level of craft that work in each of the poems and Don't Call Us Dead is exceptional. These are poems about black men and their imperiled, impressioned bodies, what it means to live with HIV, and so much more. There is pain here, but there is so much joy, so much fierce resistance to anything that dares to attempt the stories beyond told here. How Not to Get Shot by D.L. Hughley. I heard good things about this book. Has a lot of funny punchlines in it, but he also has a message within the book. So if you want comedy, you want realism, you want some punch, you want some swag, this book is probably good for you. Let's see here. American Marriage. I don't know too much about this book, but I heard somebody mention it. So it may be, if you're into this thing, it's part of Oprah's book club. I don't know what that means to you, but nonetheless, yes. Freshwater, a witchy electrifying story of danger, compulsion. So if you want a dramatized book, this may be the book for you. What it says here, a stunning and disoriented story about a broken woman trying to overcome the pain of her human life while straddling the other side. Okay. I'm going to skip some of these here. Behold the Dreamers, Citizens, An American Memoir, Children of Blood and Bone, The Mothers, You Can't Touch My Hair. I know some of you might be interested in that, so I'll just go ahead and read some of this. The book reads more like a conversation than a set of essays, one that she and many other people of color are sick of having. In this essay collection, Robinson wades through the fascination white people have with how people of color and black women presents their bodies. She confronts the critical subjects like the historical representation of black hair in media, problematic casting calls for people of color, and which member of you two she'd like to sleep with in descending order of hotness. In other words, this is not a definite tome on race and her politics, nor is it trying to be. It is clear that Robinson's comedy background is at the forefront of this collection. If she's going to have this conversation, she's going to do it on her own terms. So this could be a good book for men and women that's going to have a lot of her emotions, a lot of her comedy, and a lot of her thoughts, and again, about her hair. Okay? We Love You by Charlie Freeman. See, The Turner House. What else? Brown Girl Dreaming. I heard about that one. It's a poem book. Fire Shut Up in My Bones. I know too much about that one. Now, I know I'm flying through these. I'm just trying to give you an idea of some good books out there for you guys to read. Between the World and Me. Not a bad book. Tradition of James Baldwin's in there. I love James Baldwin. The Misadventure of an Awkward Black Girl by Isha Rae. Now, we know that she was a YouTube star that turned professional because she was doing short movies, short skits, and she's her own writer. She, as far as I know, she writes all the parts for everybody. So yeah, she's magnificent. Okay, she is definitely a self-made millionaire. Okay, based upon her talents and skills, she used a platform just as well as though Justin Bieber used YouTube to get famous because Usher signed him originally. Okay. Let's see. And Unkindness of Ghost. I don't know about that one. Solomon Dukes with a raw distillation of slavery, okay, prison and religion, that kicks like rugged moonshine on the generational starship Matilda, which will take hundreds of years to reach its destination. Okay, so I don't really know how to explain this book, but based upon what I just read, it's a very intriguing and sophisticated book. That she's on this journey that, you know, the starship is Matilda, which is a German name from my knowledge, but also a lot of black girls have this name. So we know that there's some slavery distillation. I mean, this book may be a great book. So don't get me wrong, because at the end it says, which will take hundreds of years to reach its destination, despite traveling at a significant fraction of the speed of light. A ignorant white supremacy cult called the Sovereign runs on the labor intimidation of a black enslaved class. Woo! This book may be very, very powerful and very, very intriguing. Let me tell you that. Sometimes there's just some books out there, ladies and gentlemen, that you can actually just read and they just blow your mind. Now, from what I'm reading, I think I'm gonna put this book on my list. I'm not even kidding. This looks like a really good book. Okay, let me get back to it. Let's see, The Woman Next Door, Little Leaders, Bold Women in Black History, very educational. Now, I heard about this book. Now, I believe this is a homosexual male. It says, come of age, black and free in America. And it says, it's his compelling memoirs, No Ashes in the Fire is Vulnerable. An activist and journalist, Moore takes reader through the glorious and traumatic experience of his self-discovery as a young queer man growing up in Camden in Philadelphia. So that may be a book for people who are straddling the fence about decisions, what they're going to make on their life. And it doesn't have to be anything dealing with your sex orientation or what you qualify yourself as. It doesn't really matter. It may just help anyone in trying to take a new road or become free in America with all the stereotypes, with all the, toxic masculinity and vice versa. All right. Love and Day by Matt Johnson. Don't know too much about this book either. I'm just giving you, once again, books that I believe that will spark an interest in reading and gaining knowledge and self-awareness. Okay. Gemma Book, Entertainment Weekly, The Star Side of Bird Hill. The picture is very, very artistic, very intriguing, very interesting because it's highlighting a lot of things here. You can see that she has dreads. Now, I usually don't break down pictures like this, but this picture is really grabbing me. She has dreads here with color. She has earrings up here. I can see the Afrocentric sort of look. You see her lips puckered and they're red, showing that she has full lips. But then I come down here to her necklace and I see bell peppers. Now, this is almost kind of Hispanic or Spanish, or, you know, people of Dominican culture, or other black ethnic groups within Spanish and Spanish. What's the word I'm looking for, ladies and gentlemen? I'm sorry, I'm lost of words. That have some sort of Spanish heritage. African Americans with some sort of Spanish heritage, like black Cubans, black people from Honduras, black people from Belize, so on and so forth. So let's read this. This was actually interesting based upon the picture. What is worth holding on when you inherit a legacy of loss? It is a hot, strange summer in Jackson's vibrant debut, which finds three members of a newly minted family in varying degrees of distress. Trying to answer that question, when 16-year-old Diana, that's not Diane, Diana, as far as I know, and her 10-year-old sister set to live temporarily in Barbados. See, the Caribbean, got it. So I was close. With their grandmother, they understand they've landed as in a place to be banished to as a place to call home. Okay. This book, phenomenal book. Okay, phenomenal book. You know, he's a comedian. He's also, he says, I'm also asthmatic, heterosexual, black and proud. This is Kamaal Bill. Okay. Yeah, I would say it's a good book. I'll say that. I'll leave everything else up to you guys. Now, the foreword on this is by Alicia Keys. It's called Blend. Not a bad book from what I heard. Didn't read this one. The Sellout by Paul Beatty. I know a lot of you might want to read that. Let's see. Let's read this. The Acceptance of Stillness in such a loud, spectacular book, which may also be read as Beatty's brand of narrative whispering, in which this novel is at its most dazzling and ironically its least absurd. The Sellout, while riding beneath terrifying waves of American racial terror, is among the most important and difficult American novels written in the 21st century. The Poet X, don't know too much about that one. I know I'm speeding up here, guys. I'll stop at another interesting book, Long Way Down. Black Man in a White Coat, okay, a doctor's reflection on race and medicine. Ooh, so if you got some black physicians out there, some black nurses, some black doctors, black dentists, you might want to read this. It might be intriguing, it might be interesting. Or if you have aspirations or dreams of becoming a doctor of some sort, you might want to read it, okay? Or it might just be a book to read. Toni Morrison's one of my favorite authors, God Help the Child. Now, one of her, I'll get to the book I actually like from her. Well, I like a lot of books from her, but there's the one book that is a famous book that most people know of. All right, Dear Martin, Raw and Gripping, Jason Reynolds. See, Powerful Wrenching, what else? It says, Dear Martin belongs to a growing body of young adult literature exploring a racial injustice and police brutality from a teen perspective. The question of when and how to speak up for yourself or let things go recurs throughout. So this book right here, ladies and gentlemen, if you have a black teen, it may help them and guide them better than you can, because it's coming from a black teen, how they're dealing with injustice and police brutality in their neighborhoods and their communities. It may help them, because sometimes, believe it or not, when you get information from somebody in a position of authority, you don't accept it as well as it's from a peer. Okay, somebody you hang and you bang, you know what I'm saying, and you going around your neighborhood with, and you read something in their language and you read something on their level versus you telling them, I need you to do this and I need you to do that. This book right here may be the turning point. I don't know, but it sounds interesting. All right, The Abduction of Smith and Smith. Don't know nothing about that. I've seen this before. Maybe you guys know about that book, The Changeling. Stay With Me. A Brief History of 7 Killings. Don't know too much about that. I know I'm passing it through quickly. Hope you can catch some of these names. We Cast a Shadow. Maurice Carlos Ruffin. American Street. This is an interesting picture. You got graffiti in the background with a beautiful flower. Also kind of looks like the jungle. I don't know. That's intriguing picture as well. Okay. All right. Now we're narrowing it down. You're going to see some books again, but I'm going to fly through this one. Kindred, that's a good one. You've seen this book again. Hunger by Roxane Gay. The Fire Next Time, one of my favorite books. Now, let me tell you, this book changed my life. I'm just going to, I know I'm spilling the beans. This book changed my life. That's all I'll say. I'll move on. We'll talk about it later. Between the World and Me, that's the second time we've seen this book. Might be a really interesting book. Okay, Toni Morrison's Beloved. Most people read it. Excellent book. All about love. Don't know too much about that. Malcolm X, read it once. It is a long book, but it is very detailing. A lot of people, in my opinion, this is my point of view. Please don't beat me up. A lot of white people think that Malcolm X and the Nation of Islam during this era was violent. They was not. I call them very revengeful, meaning like this. You hit me, I'm going to hit you back. Again, let's not get Malcolm X confused with Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King, when he first started off, what people didn't understand, his views on police brutality, racism, being marginalized, he wanted to rise up violently. A lot of people don't know some of the early readings and writings and talks from Martin Luther King. He turned nonviolent, knowing that he would get sympathy and empathy from people who really had a distaste for slavery, a really distaste for racism, a really distaste for being prejudiced and stereotypical, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Malcolm X, at one point, when he first joined the Nation of Islam, he didn't want to deal with white people on any level. He wanted them to give us our own land because we deserved it because our ancestors was in slavery. Then he went to Mecca and felt like, oh, we are all brothers and sisters, okay? So this is a really good book. It's a long book, though. If you ever seen the book, it's pretty thick, okay? Their Eyes Were Watching God, very famous book. I did not read. This book I already have. I have cracked open a couple of pages. Let me tell you, Michelle Alexander, God bless her heart. And the foreword is by Cornel West. A really, really, really eye-opening book. Let me tell you, because I'm going to read some information on some of these books, and you're going to be staggering. Let me tell you, this book, believe it or not, now we all know that Barack Obama didn't do nothing really for black people, but I tell you this, he's inspirational, regardless if you like him or not. He's inspirational. Now, this was a good book. This was a good book. The Audacity of Hope was a good book. That's all I'll tell you. I could give you all the information. If you want to know how many pages, I love books that are under 300 pages, okay? So this book, if I include the epilogue, is around 360 pages, if I include the epilogue. But that wasn't a bad book, okay? That wasn't a bad book. Of course, another book, I always pull it from my side over here, is Black Labor, White Wealth by Dr. Claude Anderson. So that's a good book as well. So let's get back into it. All right, so The Warmth of Other Suns, I've heard about that book. Now, I heard that was a good book. The Brown Girl Dreaming, we've seen that twice. So some of these books are automatically going to get on my list when I see it on two different websites. Okay, that means that a lot of people saying that now. Shut Up in My Bones. I heard this was a really good book. I'm interested in, let's read this really quickly. It says, Charles M. Blow opens up about growing up in a segregated Louisiana town during the 1970s. As the youngest of 5 brothers in 12 chapters, Blow offers an extensive look at his path of overcoming poverty, the trauma of being a victim of childhood rape, and his gradual understanding of his bisexuality. Although these are hard truths to tell, as Blow told NPR in 2014, he wrote this book, especially for those who are going through similar experiences and need to know their lives are still worth living despite painful circumstances. I've had this conversation with plenty of people, mostly females, about how because they were raped in their childhood by their stepfathers, their uncles, their cousins, and even some females, okay, their aunts as well, and how that kind of pushed them into, especially the opposite sex, they didn't have that trust anymore. So they went with the same sex. But people who went through these trials and tribulations, I can't speak to it. I didn't go through this, so I don't want to speak out of turn. But I know that this probably being the key word here, played a pivotal role in them turning to the same sex, or even staying with the opposite sex, depending on what they went through. I don't want to get into that. That's a very, very difficult discussion. I don't want to offend anybody, but this book I heard about, and it seems very, very powerful. So if you are struggling in any sort of the word, what you read, this book may help guide you through. I don't know. I know why the cage bird sings. We've seen that twice. Forward about Oprah Winfrey. Bible 17. I'll keep moving here. The Hate You Give, once again. We've seen this twice. Another good book. Langston Hughes. Now, I know he's a wonderful author. Do I know about this book? Not Without Laughter. I don't know too much about this book. I've heard of it, though. Salvage the Bones. Don't Call Us Dead. That's the second time we've seen that one. Underground Railroad. Second time we've seen that one. A Devil in a Blue Dress. And that's all. Okay. So now we're going to get into some books that really changed my life. And I'm going to give you the first book. Okay. I'm going to give you the first book that really, really changed my life. A phenomenal book. I read now, usually it takes me like a month to read a book, but it took me like 2 days to read this book. And I read it over 15 years ago, I believe. I think it was over 15 years ago. I could not put down this book because I felt like I was him without being incarcerated. Okay, I felt like I was him without being incarcerated. So, without further ado, Makes Me Wanna Holler by Nathan McCall. Makes Me Wanna Holler by Nathan McCall was a phenomenal read. And now it doesn't want to pop up. Okay. What are we doing here? I thought you was going to pop this up. All right. Nonetheless, I was trying to get the cover page so you guys can see it. But this book changed my life. Okay. I don't want to give too much about the book, but basically he had a rough childhood. He did a lot of bad things. He ended up going to prison, came back out and started writing for the Washington Post. Okay. Man, it says one of our most visceral and important memoirs on race in America. This is the story of Nathan McCall, who began life as a smart kid in a close protected family in a black working class neighborhood. Yet by the age of 15, McCall was packing a gun and embarking on a criminal career that 5 years later would land him in prison for armed robbery. Let me tell you, this book right here was phenomenal. And I'm so upset I cannot blow up the picture for you guys. Let me see. See if I can blow it up for you guys. Okay. They won't let me do it. It's not me, it's them. There it is. All right. Really, really good book. I'm telling you, anybody who read this book, it will captivate you. He did an excellent job on his book. Phenomenal book. I can't say more about it. And believe me, even though this book is like, 20, 30 years old, this book is still relevant today. I can't speak no more about it. All right. Next book. The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin. What a phenomenal book. I'm talking about brilliant. It's a brilliant book. Let's just read a little bit about this. A national bestseller. I'll blow this up a little bit because I'm gonna mispronounce some words. You know me. A national bestseller when it first appeared in 1963, The Fire Next Time galvanized the nation and gave passionate voice to emerging civil rights movement. At once a powerful evocation of James Baldwin's early life in Harlem and a disturbing examination of the consequences of racial injustice, the book is an intensely personal and provocative document. It consists of 2 letters written on the occasion of the centennial of the Emancipation Proclamation. The exhort Americans, both black and white, to attack the terrible legacy of racism. Okay, really, really, really good book. Now, Song of Solomon by Toni Morrison. This was a phenomenal book. Okay, this was a phenomenal book. It's going to really keep doing that. Go back up to the cover. I'm just going to zoom out some, guys. Okay, that's how it looks. This was a phenomenal book. Let's read a little bit about it. Milkman Dead was born shortly after a neighborhood in Cedric hurled himself off a rooftop in a vain attempt at flight. For the rest of his life, too, he will be trying to fly. With this brilliantly imagined novel, Toni Morrison transfigures the coming-of-age story as audaciously as Saw Below of Gabriel Garcia Marquez. As she follows Milkman from his rustic belt city to the place of his family origins, Morrison introduced an entire cast of strivers, liars, assassins, and the inhabitants of a fully realized black world. Wow. Phenomenal book by Toni Morrison. Phenomenal. Anybody will tell you if they read it. All right, my last book I'm going to get with you guys today is The New Jim Crow. This book, it is not meant for the faint of heart, okay? This book is not meant for the faint of heart. I believe Michelle Alexander did a wonderful, wonderful thing with this book. So let's read it. Blow it up just a little bit. Okay. Oh, I can't even read it now. This is horrible. All right. Once in a great while, a book comes along with the changes the way we see the world and helps to fuel a nationwide social movement. The New Jim Crow is such a book praised by the Harvard Law professional as brave and bold. This book directly challenges the notion that the election. Wait a minute, I got to read again. This book directly challenges the notion that the election of Barack Obama signals a new era of colorblindness. With dazzling candor, legal scholar Michelle Alexander argues that we have not ended racial caste in America. We have merely redesigned it by targeting black men through the war on drugs and decimating communities of color. You can call that gentrification. The U.S. criminal justice system functions as a contemporary system of racial control, relegating millions to a permanent second-class status, even as it formally adheres to the principle of color blindness. In the words of Benjamin Todd Jellis, president and CEO of the NAACP, this book is called to action. Okay? This book is pretty good. Like I said, I only cracked it open a couple of pages, and there's one of them books you like, yeah, oh wow. Oh no, I ain't ready for this. I ain't ready. I wasn't ready. You know how you just like, I'm not ready for this book. Let me finish these books I got on the side. Let me finish these books I got on my Kindle or whatever. You just like, hold up. I don't need any of the distraction because I'll read a couple of books a day, meaning I'll read 10 to 20 pages a day. And I also have this app on my phone, forgot the name of it, but it basically, I set a timer and I'll read for 20 minutes. I'm reading for 20 minutes a day. I'm reading at least 20 pages of a book a day, but every day I'm reading. I take some time out and I just read. And again, I do my 5 minutes of meditation. So we couldn't go over all the books that I've read in my life. I've read quite a few books and I couldn't go all. Oh, there was one more thing I needed to show you on my Kindle books that I have on here. Some books that I have on the list and some books that I have read, but nonetheless, I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. Let me pop it up here very quickly. It's going to be very large, so excuse the font. All right, so I'm reading Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice for the second time. This book, it's very inspirational. It's very charging. It challenges you. It makes you get out and go. Because you know what it is? Stop having excuses. See, it says at the top, #1 bestseller, Guide to Success for Black Americans. Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. Okay? And it says, said at the bottom here, this book should be required reading for all African Americans truly committed to the pursuit of happiness and fulfillment. Let me tell you, out of all the books that I just went through, if you want an inspiring book, if you want a book that's going to give you information, if you want a book that's going to motivate you, push you out your comfort zone, make you do things, this is the book. This is the book, and that's why I'm reading it for the second time. Because every time I read, reading this book the second time, I just get more insight. All right, I'm off of it. I know I can go. All right, The Intelligent Investor. A lot of people will tell you about this book. It basically tell you the basis of investing. If some of you don't understand, you want to be taught how to invest. There's a certain psychology behind investing, and this book will help you to get there. Okay, what else I got on here? The Destruction of the Black Civilization. A good brother of mine told me about this book. I have not read it yet. Taming Wall Street. That was a really short and sweet, but right to the point book. Authored by Stephen Gardner. He's been on my channel. Really good information about cash value life insurance. Okay. Also, we've seen these books before. I have this hard copy, The Power of Now, and I read The Subtle Art of Not Giving, by Mark Manson. A lot of his titles have the word F in it, Let's see what else here. I have not read The 50 Laws of Power, but I heard great things about it. So granted, might be a good book with Robert Greene. I love Robert Greene. Always good book. Like The 48 Laws of Power. The Path of the Alchemist. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Okay, now this book is definitely on my list. If you notice, I have the Autumn War on both my Google and my Kindle. Like, again, I read it. I'll listen to it at least once a year. The Laws of Human Nature. This is a must-read book. This is going to help you to understand a lot of people. Okay, I know I also had the other book on my list from my Google, The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Joseph L. Murphy. But this is also another good book. But if I had to tell you to read a book about learning about people, it would be this one. The other one is more spiritually minded about your subconscious. So that's a different type of book. All right. We Cannot Stop Tears We Cannot Stop, A Sermon to White America. And this is basically what it is. Even Toni Morrison says, written really well, elegantly written, a work to relish. And this is Michael. Yeah, Michael Eric Dyson is a beast. We know that. I read Frederick Douglass, the most complete collection of his writings, works, and speeches. I could have saved some money here. There were some speeches in there that were really profound. One day, I would just like to read one of his speeches to you guys. It was one speech. I don't recall the name, but it was a really, really good speech. Just like I believe Malcolm X's speech, The Ballot or the Bullet, that was a really good speech. It was, as far as speech is concerned, it wasn't, I had a dream. It wasn't that one, but it was The Ballot or the Bullet. Because, Malcolm X, boy, he coming in with a shotgun. He going to shoot you in your face with it now. The Message to the Black Man in America. This was a good read. I fairly enjoyed it. Then Marcus Garvey, Ultimate Collection of Speeches and Poems. He had some really good speeches in there. They're kind of old. But let me tell you, Marcus Garvey was a very intelligent man. Okay, very intelligent man. But nonetheless, I read it. It was a good book. All right, what else we got? Oh, yeah. Fat Chance by Robert H. Lustig. Now, this is the book that helped me on my path to eating healthy. I would say this was the book. This is the turning point in my life where first it says, okay, beating the odds against sugar, processed food, obesity, and disease. This is the book. Fat Chance is the book that started me on that road of eating healthy. It really did. First, it told me about that sugar has 30 to 50 names. So when you're reading something, 9 times out of 10, the biggest content of it is salt and sugar, but mostly sugar. Because we are, as Americans, we're addicted to sugar, and it's because of the government. They allow them to put sugar in everything. So we just need sugar. The first thing we'll say is, this is sweet. Oh, no, not this is sweet. The first thing we'll say is that it's not sweet enough, right? Or did you put sugar in here? Because it don't taste right. You need sugar. We're so addicted to sugar. And this book actually feeds into how people become obese. He even gets into how the government targeted black communities, and that's why we're obese. How when food costs a certain amount of money, like fresh food, right? If you look at, if you look a couple of days ago on my site, that was a picture of my refrigerator and the foods that I eat. So in my refrigerator, I know pretty much what I got. I got fruit. I got, mangoes in there. I got arugula. I got collard greens. I have eggs. What else do I have? I have some bell pepper, some onions, some garlic. And then in the freezer, I didn't show the freezer, but in the freezer I have meatless chunks of basically fake food. Y'all know what it is. Well, no, plant-based foods that kind of taste like meat when you season it. But Fat Chance is that book that really got me recognizing the stuff that I was putting in my body. And that led to a whole, you know how one thing leads you on a whole journey of someplace you really didn't never want to go? That's what that book did. Because when I started reading about that, then I was like, well, what about meat? What about milk? What about how, what does meat do to our body? Believe it or not, you don't have to take my word for it, ladies and gentlemen. Meat is cancerous. Just look it up. Meat, people say red meat, this, that. Meat, period. Chicken, turkey, all that. Meat, period, is a class 1 carcinogen on the same class as a cigarette. So that's why I eat less meat. Like, I probably eat meat once a month. But more, when I do eat meat, it'll be some ribs. But anyway, that book has really led me on my journey. So these are the books that I've read in my life. I know we went over a lot of books, but those 3 or 4 that I can recall really helped me change the course in my life. It got me good with my health. It got me good. Like today, I went on a walk, even though my back is pretty injured. I pinched a nerve, but I went on a walk and I walked about 5 miles, right? Trying to loosen it up, see if the pinched nerve will come out. But nonetheless, those books have charged me, has motivated me, has got me in a really good space of get out and go. Get out and go. Start your business. Buy a house. Buy some real estate. Invest your money here. Take care of your health. Work your body. Work your mind. Work your soul. Work your emotions. All positively, right? Because in this world, we can name 1,000, 100 million things negative. But how many things can you really say that's positive? And when you start leaning towards the positivity of things versus the negative, your life will change forever. This is